So let's put this into practice by making a brand new layout file from scratch and creating some real elements, some actual Android elements, which will be items that will go on the screen. Okay. And the first thing we're going to do this is we're going to navigate to our layout folder. So this will be a nice little opportunity for you to recap the location of the XML files. So over on the left now in the project pane, I would like you to close the BMI calculator folder down. So all the folders are now closed. And in a moment when I say, I would like you to pause the video and try and get to the location yourself. And you are not allowed to click here and click the target button. Okay, this is a good chance for you to find it yourself. So a little hint for you, remember, it's a layout resource in the main source files of our app. All right, or backwards, that would be our app's source files, the main files, a resource, and a layout resource. So go ahead now, pause the video, and try and navigate yourself to the layout folders. Okay, so assuming you've done that yourself, you open this up. It is the app source files, the main source files. It's a resource, it's a layout resource. So we're in the layout folder, fantastic. And to create a new layout file, we're going to right click on layout, hover over new, and go to new layout resource file. So this is the way to make a new resource file, right clicking on the layout folder. And let's call it my underscore test underscore layout file dot XML. Okay, the convention for XML files is all lowercase, all with underscores, which is called snake case because it looks a bit like a snake. All right, so my underscore test underscore layout file dot XML, and then and then before we press OK, you see the root element here is constraint layout. Constraint layouts are a little bit more sophisticated and a bit more complex. We'll get to them very soon, but for now, triple click to select all of this and delete it, and start typing the word linear, L-I-N-E-A. And then when it suggests linear layout, go ahead and either click that or press enter to auto-complete that. So we'll have linear layout as our root element, not constraint layout. Then press OK. So we have a new file, you can see at the top here, my test layout file. The declaration is always put in for us, that's nice and useful, you can ignore that for now. And we have just one element. You see it? Linear layout, some attributes, and then closing tag. So linear layout is a container that you can put things in. Constraint layout was a container you can put things in. Pretty much most Android elements that have the word something layout, linear layout, constraint layout, grid layout, they can have things that are put inside them. So you would have an opening and closing tag. So we'll leave this just as it is. We'll do a few line breaks, and let's try and do our own text view from scratch. So, do you know how to do a text view? Try and do it yourself if you think you already know. It's the left arrow, then start typing the word text view. We won't autocomplete just yet. We'll do it manually. And then the right arrow. In fact, no, we won't do the right arrow because nothing's going to go inside our text view. So let's make it a self-closing tag. Just press the / and Android will do that for us. So we have a text view. But if you look underneath it, we have a red line, we have an error warning. So let's hover over that. Okay, that's super useful. Layout height attribute should be defined. Layout width attribute should be defined. So it tells us what's wrong with our XML. So let's put those attributes in ourselves right now. After the word text view, enter, do a couple of line breaks. And then let's do Android, : and this time we can autocomplete. So let's do layout height. Tells us it's required. It gives us the equal sign. It gives us the inverted commas. Let's do wrap content, which just means it'll be as high and as wide as it needs to be for the text. And then Android : layout width equals, again, wrap content. And the final thing we need to actually see something on the screen is actually to have some text. So you know how we did Android : and it auto-completed layout? Well, you can even get Android Studio to autocomplete your attribute just by typing the attribute name, not typing Android. So start typing the word text, T-E-X, and do you see that? It's already going to suggest for us Android:text. So that's super useful. You can always do that for attributes. Okay, so press enter to autocomplete. And then let's do some text. Put whatever you want. I have made my very own text view from scratch. I rock. Now let's see that that actually has worked. So we'll go to our split view up here. And there you can see it. Happens to be in the top left of the screen because linear layout behaves a little bit differently. So let's add another element now underneath the text view. So do a couple of line breaks. Let's add another linear layout. So this time, if you get the prompt to do linear layout, to autocomplete, you can go ahead and select that. So press enter. And it's already giving us our required attributes of width and height. So this time we will do width. Let's do width match parent. That means it will be as wide as it can possibly be. And height we will do wrap content. We only want it to be as high as what's inside it. So width match parent, height wrap content. I'm pressing enter both times to autocomplete. Okay, and this time we are going to put something inside this element because it's a layout. It needs to have things inside it. It's a container. It's like a basket for other things on the screen. So this time just do the right arrow, and then we have a closing tag. Do some line breaks. This time let's put something new inside it. Let's put some buttons. We usually have buttons in our apps. Let's have a button. So left arrow, B-U-T, and feel free to do the autocomplete. And we'll make our button as wide and as high as the text. So wrap content. So we'll wrap around the text. And let's not close this just yet. Let's do some text, T-E-X, autocomplete. This is my button, exclamation mark. Go over to the design editor. Yep, it's working nicely. Now, there's not going to be anything else inside the button. The button has its own text, so we don't need to put anything inside the button. So we will do a self-closing tag. Use the /, and we have a button. Let's copy this, the whole thing, so Control-C for me. And let's do 3 buttons. 1, 2, paste, 3. You see that? It's done 3 buttons side by side by side. In fact, this linear layout seems to be putting things horizontally. If you look at the top linear layout, we have orientation vertical. We have this extra attribute that we don't have at the moment in our linear layout. So let's do just that. Let's type in the word orientation, autocomplete it, and let's do vertical and see what happens. Do you see that? It stacks them on top of each other. So we can already learn that, well, actually, let's change that to the other option. Horizontal. And there we go. So we could probably deduce that when you don't specify an orientation with this element, that it will be horizontal by default. But probably vertical looks a bit nicer. So let's leave orientation as vertical. And there we go. So quite quickly there, you're seeing how to make your own elements, either as self-closing, because they have nothing inside them, like the text view and the buttons, or with an opening and corresponding closing tag, such as the linear layout we did. And we've used autocomplete, we've done some attributes, and we've copied and pasted some stuff, and we've had a look at it on the screen. So that is more or less all there is to working with XML, elements and attributes, with one exception. Scroll to the very top of the sheet. Okay, we have these aren't laid out very nicely. Let's just tidy these up a bit. Let's put a line break after the orientation. That's a bit neater. Okay, there's one thing we've not talked about. Next to our first element, our root element, the element at the very top of the sheet of the file, XML NS : Android and some random looking URL. So we know what XML stands for. XML NS, namespace. This is where we tell this document what Android even means. So in the XML, we need to put the Android namespace, the Android name. This is the URL it has to be to so it knows where to find all these attributes. It's not really a website. It's just so Android Studio knows how to find orientation, layout width, layout height. But to be able to use it, Android : attribute, Android, like this, we need to declare it right at the top of the file. And in truth, we can call it what we want. We can call this cheese, XML-NS cheese. You see that? And if I change all the Androids to cheese, like that, it can be called what it likes. In reality, you're never going to change that. We'll always leave it as Android. But I just thought it was worth showing you, if I undo all of that, showing you this line here, because this is one which looks horribly confusing. Android Studio will put this in for you by default if you make a layout file like we did. And it's just important to know what purpose it serves. It gives a home, the location to all the attributes, so it knows what they are and what to do with them. And that is absolutely everything on our XML files. So, in summary, XML made up of elements. Elements can have attributes. Some elements can have opening and closing tags. Some elements are self-closing with the / at the end of the tag. Okay, and the elements with opening and closing tags can have contents. And if an element doesn't have any contents, then you can just close them, self-close them like that. Okay.